to weigh in on this, and we touched a little bit in the initial A block on Nikki Haley and her comments around anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. So there was a resolution put before the House of Representatives which equated anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. Now, Crystal, you aptly put it previously, but Zionism is a political ideology that has to do with land and is very separate from discrimination against a religious group, especially when members of that religious group, including people like Albert Einstein, previously had spoken out against Zionism, and that some of the most fierce people who object to Zionism are themselves Jewish. Well, it overwhelmingly passed the House, and many of the progressives ended up voting present, actually, on the resolution. But one of the members who has been most singled out for his opposition to that resolution was Congressman Thomas Massie for tweeting out this meme. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. He tweeted out, for those who are just listening, it's the Drake meme, the person who he's holding up his hands as if opposed, and it says, "Congress these days to American patriotism." Then he's pointing his finger and he's smiling, "Congress these days towards Zionism." Funny meme, definitely making fun, again, of these symbolic, ridiculous resolutions that are just, just like flagellating people themselves about how pro-Israel they are.
Like, how many
inside
of these freaking things are gonna pass,
yeah,
too?
I know. And they don't need to do anything, so what's the purpose? All right, let's put that aside.
The purpose is just to smear people as anti-Semitic who don't lockstep agree with Israel on literally everything. That's the purpose.
Guess what? That's what they decided to do. Not just Republicans, but actually prominent Democrats, including the White House, the Biden administration. Let's put this up there on the screen. The Biden administration's put out a statement saying all Americans, including House GOP leadership, should condemn this virulent anti-Semitism from a sitting member of Congress. This was retweeted by the White House. This himself is a White House spokesperson, and it was reiterated by the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Let's go ahead and put that one up there on the screen. He says, "Representative Massie, you are a sitting member of Congress. This is anti-Semitic, disgusting, dangerous." Exactly the type of thing I was talking about in my Senate address. Take this down. And Massie said, well, you know, it seems like you guys care a lot more about a foreign country's borders than our own. I think he's absolutely correct on that one. But this is the absolute state of our discourse, Crystal, is that a meme making fun of meaningless resolutions where a country continually affirms, you know, the right of a foreign government to exist, and then affirms like the inability to even speak out against the actions of said government, or even any foreign ideology, any political ideology, is then not able to be mocked, and instead is flipped around and said, you are a anti-Semite. And that's one of the worst things that you can say about somebody.
Correct.
In the 21st century, especially with the legacy of the 20th century.
Correct.
And yet they have no compunction doing it. I think it's really disgusting what they're doing today.
It is utterly disgusting and disgraceful for a variety of reasons. Number one, when you throw around the word anti-Semitism to talk about a meme which is not remotely anti-Semitic, to talk about people who have critiques of the Israeli government, which is not remotely anti-Semitic, when you just use this word for everything you don't like, the word becomes meaningless. And then when things happen that are genuinely anti-Semitic, which of course do happen all the time, and there has been an increase in the number of actual real anti-Semitic incidents during this time period, you have no words and no language left that means anything to anyone. And if you're an organization like the ADL, where this is your thing, like, you have completely bankrupted your credibility to apply this label to anyone or anything. So it's disgusting on that level. It is utterly disgusting and preposterous on this level as well, which is that we are providing the bombs and the unconditional support for Israel in their war on Gaza, which has not only exacted a horrific toll on the civilian population there, but has made Israelis less safe and have made our own men and women in the region less safe. And yet you want to spend your time at the White House and the head of the Democrats in the Senate, very powerful individuals, you want to spend your time railing against a freaking meme online? That's what you're spending your time and your outrage focused on? What a clown show. Like, what a preposterous caricature of a decadent, failing society, which cannot even focus on the actual real world events that are unfolding before our eyes. We're arguing about memes. We're inventing, as Sagar's gonna discuss, we're inventing incidents on college campuses to debate. We're castigating a congresswoman who said rape was horrific because she didn't say it hard enough. Like, what the hell are we doing right now while our big, great friend in the Middle East, Bibi Netanyahu, is actively floating plans to Congress to quote unquote thin out the Gaza population and all but announcing outright that his end goal here is ethnic cleansing. And we're spending our time on a meme that Thomas Massie sent out. Few things could possibly disgust me more than what is unfolding in elite discourse right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally nuts. And, you know, it's interesting. I care about American sovereignty more than anything, especially whenever it comes to the meddling of foreign governments in our domestic politics. And yesterday I noticed this. I'm going to read it for everybody because what you were saying reminded me of it. The defense minister of the state of Israel tweeted this out. Let's be clear and unequivocal. Calling for intifada, a murderous insurgency perpetrating acts of women, is not free speech. Chanting from the river, from the sea, openly calling for the destruction of the Jewish state, quote, is not free speech. Both are examples of dangerous, violent hate speech, and they must be treated as such. Why is the defense minister of a foreign government, who, by the way, does not have free speech in their country, trying to define free speech in our country? How about you worry about your goddamn job and we will do ours? But the reason that they feel so comfortable getting involved in this, getting involved in BD, I mean, the freaking Israeli ambassador has been going all over this country now for years, promoting anti-BDS legislation at a state level. Imagine if the United States ambassador was going around Israel and getting involved in which kibbutzes govern themselves and what they're allowed to say. That I would speak out against that. I would say, leave these people alone. I don't believe the United States should be doing that, period, at all, whenever it comes to meddling in foreign governments. Vice versa. I mean, this is a total disrespect, honestly, to us. And this is how I see a lot of these resolutions. And, you know, I don't even necessarily agree with a lot of these like anti-Israel talking points and all that, but you know, this is America. We get to say whatever we want, period, end of story. And, you know, I truly wish they cared as much about this country, about our rights to do all these things, maybe our rights to say whatever we want, as much as they did as affirming like anti-Zion, or what is it, anti-Zionism equals anti-Semitism. So they are fulfilling, by the way, all of the worst anti-Semitic tropes around government, about controlled speech,
dual loyalties,
and dual loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, by criminalizing or trying to make it such that you can't talk about it in the public domain. And all that has made me do is angrier and more determined, not only to defend it, but to actually say some of these things out loud.
The other thing that's preposterous, I mean, the Congress is overwhelmingly Christian.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, what, 90% Christian? And then you're defining what anti-Semitism is? Like, that's absurd as well. The whole thing is completely ridiculous. And the most disgusting, I don't know, there's a lot about it that disgusts me, but it's just such a clear tactic to distract from what our policies are actually doing in the region and the horrific toll that the American people have overwhelmingly rejected. I mean, I just saw another poll. 2/3 of American people want a ceasefire. It's almost a majority of Republicans who want a permanent ceasefire, an overwhelming majority of Democrats, and it's Democrats, of course, who are in charge of the White House. So they're trying to distract from the things that actually matter. And it's just never been more blatantly clear to me that that's what's going on here, playing all these games and taking up news cycles, debating theoretical things that might be said on a college campus. With regard to the river to the sea chant or whatever, you know, Ryan did a great job with Ted Cruz on this. Like, hey, you know, they say this in the Likud Party platform. What do you have to say about that? Well, that's not a problem when it's the Israelis. It's not a problem when Netanyahu's literally holding up a map of Israel that completely disappears the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, and says this is the new reality from the river to the sea, by the way. Well, that's fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. But, you know, let's criminalize chants on college campuses, because that's really the important thing for us to focus on right now.
Yeah, and by the way, even if it did mean it, I would still defend people's right to say it. I said, yeah, you can say it. No, there's that. Why should that be criminalized? Why do you need to be passing resolutions and all these other things against it? You should not be policing what people are saying anywhere in public life, especially whenever you're the government. But anyway, apparently that's a minority position here today.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com. breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.